Hi there, this is Carrie. I'm going to be doing a Yoga Detour-ish vinyasa flow class today. We're going to be exploring pelvic mobility, the movement in your pelvis. So we are pretty comfortable with, we're familiar with the anterior and posterior tilt, so pelvic tilts. Here's the posterior tilt, here's the anterior tilt, so that we're pretty familiar with. We're also going to be exploring what I call pelvic swinging. So this is lateral movement from side to side, one hip lifts and then the other hip lifts. We'll also do a little bit of pelvic rotations. So right now you can kind of see my body is rotating with my pelvis. We'll do a little bit of that as well. So that's our focus today. I'm going to have, and I encourage you to have, 2 blocks, or maybe books, something that you can rest your hands on. I'm partial to cork blocks, but it doesn't matter. You're welcome to use whatever you like. And then perhaps a blanket or a pillow, especially if your knees are sensitive. We're going to be doing a little bit of work on the knees. So those are the only props that you're going to need today. If there are other props that you'd like to use, please feel free to have them nearby. We're going to begin on our backs. All the way down. Please feel free to support yourself however you need. You can have your legs extended out long, or if you prefer, you can bend your knees, bringing the soles of the feet to the earth. Just taking a few moments to settle in to the breath. So finding a shape in which the breath comes and goes easily. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Becoming aware of the effect of the breath on the body. Becoming aware of the effect of the breath on the mind. And then see if you can bring some awareness to the belly itself. Can you find the rise and fall of the belly on inhale and exhale? And then see, and you may find you want to bend the knees here, bringing the soles of the feet to the earth, adjusting yourself. See if you can start to move the breath into that body. So you may find you want to add a little bit of muscular tension through the belly, so that the inhale decreases the space between the low back and the earth. And you may find at this point, you can develop an awareness of the movement of the diaphragm. The breathing diaphragm contracts and pulls down, and that's what causes the inhale. When the diaphragm releases, it pushes up, causing breath to be expelled from the lungs. After another breath or 2 like this, you can release any muscular holding in the belly. As you're ready, take a few rounds of pelvic tilts. See if you can find the rocking of the pelvis, tucking and untucking the tailbone. noticing where the body is efforting. Where are you doing the work? Is the effort in the belly? Is the effort in the legs? Can you increase the effort in the belly and decrease the effort in the legs? And then see if you can overlay that with a little bit of muscular action in the belly so that you can continue to move the pelvis. But you find that the spine moves less. The movement of the spine quiets a little bit. Take another round or two. And then as you're ready, releasing that any tension, you can continue to move in these pelvic tilts, or you can move in some other manner that helps you to release tension. As we're ready, you're going to keep the knees bent, soles of the feet are on the earth, perhaps stepping the feet a little bit wider. Let the knees begin to rock from side to side. And as the legs move, notice how the pelvis moves. Notice how the spine moves. So now we have a little bit of rotation through the pelvis. A little bit of rotation in the low back. And then add just enough muscular tension through the belly so that you can continue to rock the legs from side to side, rock the knees from side to side, but you find that the movement of the pelvis, the movement of the spine quiets a little bit, it stills. You may have to slow down this action so that you can really control what's happening. Feeling the belly engage. Take another round or two. And then when you're ready, you can let that go, moving a little bit more freely. Perhaps continuing to rock the knees from side to side, or if there's some other movement that you'd like to explore here, please feel free. And then pause, reset the feet. Soles of the feet are on the earth, pressing down through the feet. Now we're going to find the swinging of the pelvis. So the back body, the back of the pelvis remains on the earth, and you're pulling one hip towards the shoulder, pull your right hip towards your right shoulder, and then release that, pull your left hip towards your left shoulder, but keeping the whole back body, the back of the pelvis on the earth the whole time. And it feels like your pelvis is a pendulum swinging at the bottom of the spine. Noticing where you're efforting here. Do you feel the work in your legs? Do you feel the work in your torso? Can you increase the effort in your torso, the side body, and decrease the effort in the legs? Take another round or two, moving on your own, using the breath. As you're ready, releasing that, move however you need to release tension. And then pausing, soles of the feet are on the earth, we're going to return to our pelvic tilts. This time we're going to use our pelvic tilts to move in and out of our bridge pose. So as you're ready, you're going to press the low back down so you can peel from the tailbone, the pelvis up, lifting into a bridge pose, and then slowly lower back down. Take a few rounds on your own. We're trying to articulate the spine here, but because it's early in our practice, we may find that it's quite difficult. So just do the best you can. The next time the hips are lifted, you're going to pause, pressing down through the feet. Think heels towards your head. Feeling your glutes engage. See if you can find your pelvic tilts here. Tucking and untucking the tailbone. Noticing how strongly your legs have to work to keep the pelvis elevated. And then pause in your bridge, hips are lifted. Can you find that swinging action? Your pelvic swings. Keeping the pelvis elevated. Try not to let one hip drop, then the other hip drop. Can you keep the pelvis at the same level, right and left side, at the same height the entire time? Taking another round or two. When you've had enough, slowly lower back down. Take any movement that you need to release tension, letting the knees rock from side to side. You can pull the knees into the chest. Whatever you'd like to do here. And then in your manner, when you're ready, you're going to come up to find the table pose. Setting yourself up in table, palms of the hands are on the earth. Just start with movement, however you'd like to move here. You can shift from side to side, forward and back, circling through the hips. Continuing to move in your own manner, find the external rotation of your arm bones, turning the fingertips away from each other. Continuing to move however you choose. We're going to continue the external rotation of the arm bones. Fingertips turn towards the knees. You can take circles here, rocking forward and back, side to side. As you're ready, you're going to do a full internal rotation of the arm bones, which will turn the fingertips towards each other. Again, shifting forward and back, side to side, circling through the hips. And then do the same thing with the backs of the hands on the earth, fingertips pointing towards each other, shifting forward and back. Just bringing a little bit of load into this awkward position, maybe rocking from side to side. And then make fists rolling up onto the knuckles. Bring the palms of the hands back to the earth. You're going to extend your right leg out behind you, pushing the ball of the foot into the earth. Start to circle around your right foot and ankle. Looking to bring every aspect of the foot to touch the earth. Let's reverse the direction. Bring the right knee down. We'll take the second side, extending out through the left foot and ankle, circling. Trying to keep that back knee straight. Reverse the direction. Bring your left knee to the earth, set the hands so that they're slightly forward, maybe a little bit wider than the shoulders. Take a few rounds of cat and cow. Find your full range of motion here. And then pause in a still table pose, pressing through the hands, pressing through the knees. Allow your belly, your chest, and your head to drop, keeping the elbows straight. And then pressing through the hands, through the knees, reinflate, return to your table pose, pushing the earth away, lifting the tip of the nose away from the earth. We'll take that again, deflate, letting the belly, the chest, and the head drop, reinflate, right into table pose. Last time here, deflate. Reinflate, pressing through the hands, pressing through the knees, feeling the front body engage. We're going to curl the toes and hover the knees. Breathing here. Try not to let the head drop. Try not to let the hips lift. Hovering the knees off the earth, lifting the tip of the nose away from the earth. We're going to hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the knees down, walk the hands back. Lift your knees, Drop your heels, lift your hips, coming into a forward fold. Take a few breaths in this forward fold. You can take some movement here. As you're ready, let the knees bend and we'll roll up to standing. Stacking the vertebrae, shoulders, neck, and head are last to arrive. Taking a breath here, let your right fingertips start to reach down the outside of your right leg. Your head can be heavy if that feels appropriate. You can bend your knees. You can extend your left arm to the ceiling. Pressing through the feet, coming back to upright, stacking the vertebra, letting the left fingertips reach down the outside of the left leg. The head can drop. The knees can bend. You can extend the right arm to the ceiling. Breathing here, reaching in opposite directions. Pressing through the feet, stacking the vertebra, releasing the right arm. Allow the shoulders to lift. Draw them onto back body. Find the external rotation of the arm bones, the palms of the hands turn out. Reach the fingertips down towards the earth as you lean back. Press the hips forward. Find a little back bend here. Breathing through the nose. And then pull yourself back to upright. Let everything curl in. Tuck your chin. Let your knees bend as you roll back down. Take a breath or two in this forward fold. As you're ready, gazing forward, you're going to bend the knees. Step your left foot back, lower the knee to the earth. Feel free to cushion underneath your left knee. Feel free to grab your blocks for underneath your hands. You're going to start a little bit of movement here, beginning to shift forward and back. You want to find your full range of motion. So you're looking to come forward as far as you can, finding a deep bend in the front ankle, front knee, and then maybe sitting all the way back to the left heel. Once that feels comfortable, see if you can do this without having the hands on blocks. Maybe the hands have to come to earth. Maybe you can do the whole movement with hands lifted. You can add a little bit of variety, opening the hips, maybe exploring something that looks a little bit like a twist or feels like a twist. And then we're going to pause. Stack your hips over your back knee, pressing down through your front foot. Take a few rounds of pelvic tilts, tucking and untucking the tailbone. Trying to keep the legs relatively still, trying to keep the upper body still. And then pause at the halfway point. From here, see if you can find that the swinging action of the pelvis, side to side. And then pause halfway in between. We're going to reach the fingertips towards the ceiling. Allow the right knee to bend, gliding forward. Push through the right foot to shift back. We're going to do that again. Gliding forward, shifting back. Last time, glide forward, pause here, pressing the right foot down. See if you can reach your fingertips towards the ceiling, maybe leaning back. Finding a little bit of a back bend here. Pressing through the right foot, shifting back, you can lower the arms. Step your right leg back. Bring the hands down. When you arrive in your table pose, just take a little bit of movement. And then pause in a still table pose. Pressing through the hands, feel the belly engage. You're going to let your heart drop between the line of the arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other on back body. And then push the earth away, spreading the shoulder blades. We're going to do that again. So this is retraction of the shoulder blades and protraction of the shoulder blades. You're trying to keep the spine in neutral the whole time. And you just feel your shoulder blades gliding on that body. And then pause. In a still table pose, pressing through the hands. feeling the belly engaged, can you find your pelvic tilts here? Tucking and untucking the tailbone. Trying not to let this movement look like a cat and cow. It's just the lower body. And then pause in neutral spine. We're going to swing the pelvis. It feels like you're wagging your tail, but you're keeping your legs relatively still. You're keeping your upper body relatively still. And then pause in neutral, pressing through the hands, curl the toes, hover the knees. Breathing here. The knees can come down at any point in time. Holding this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The knees come down, untuck the toes. Sit the hips back for child's pose. And then come forward to rest on the belly. I'm going to show you the direction we're going in, and then I'll sit up so I can speak more clearly. You're going to come to your belly. You're going to bring the heels of the hands to the base of the ribs. You're pressing the tops of the feet down, the hips down, the chest. The head is heavy, forehead resting. From here, you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades, hover the palms of the hands off the earth, and then rest. Take that again. Hover the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades, and rest. Last time here, hover the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades, pressing the feet, the hips, the chest down, and then reach the arms above the head. Palms of the hands turn towards each other, thumbs to the ceiling. Pressing the front body down, see if you can lift the hands off the earth. And then pull the hands back from the starting point, keeping them as close to side body as you can. Reach them behind you, palms of the hands flip to the ceiling. Pressing the front body down, the feet, the hips, the chest, push the palms of the hands to the ceiling. Breathing here, squeeze the shoulder blades. Bend the elbows, the wrists, pull the hands through. Try not to let the hands touch the earth. Reach them above the head. Palms of the hands turn towards each other. Can you hover the arm bones off the earth? Pressing down through the feet, through the hips, through the chest. Keep the head heavy. Pull the hands back through. Reach them behind you. Palms of the hands look to the ceiling. Push the hands up. Start to reach your fingertips towards your heels. Peel your head and chest off the earth, coming into Shavasana. Press the feet and hips down. Holding here for 3, 2, 1, and release. Bring the palms of the hands back underneath the shoulders. Pressing down through the tops of the feet, the hips, and the chest. Hover the palms of the hands. Peel the head and chest off the earth. Bring the hands down, add a little bit of a push to lift into a back bend, and then lower. Reset the hands, finding a new and novel place for them. The hands come down, add a little bit of a push, lift into back bend, and release. Take a few rounds on your own. With each round, reset the hands. The placement of the hands do not have to match. So you can really get creative here. Lowering all the way to the earth. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Press through hands and knees, pushing the earth away. Find your table pose. Curl the toes, hover the knees. Pushing the hands down and forward, reach the hips up and back. Find your first downward facing dog. When you arrive, you can take a little bit of movement, shifting from side to side, bending and straightening through the knees. As you're ready, gazing forward, shift forward, lower the knees to the earth. Walk the hands back, coming into a high kneel. You're going to cross your arms in front of your chest. Press the hips forward. Tuck the chin, looking down towards earth, looking to avoid a back bend here. You're going to lean back without moving into back bend. And then come back up. Take that a few times. Exploring a little bit of depth here. Noticing how the legs have to work to support you. Let's do 2 more. come back up. From your high kneel, you're going to step your right foot forward, so we're on the same side. Now you're going to rotate the body. The right foot is still at the front of the mat. When you arrive here, you're going to take a little bit of movement. You can shift forward and back. Again, feel free to cushion underneath your right knee. I'm sorry, your back knee, your left knee. Feel free to use blocks if you need. You're going to pause. So you're in this open hip position. Right foot is at the front of the mat. Take a few rounds of pelvic tilts, tucking and untucking the tailbone. And then pause. Strong through the legs. Can you swing your pelvis here? Side to side. Noticing the parts of the body that work. And then pause. You're going to extend your right leg out long. You can have toes to ceiling, or it's an internal rotation of the leg bone, bringing the right sole of foot to the earth. That's a little bit harder, so you decide. Press the hips forward, reach through the arms. You're going to lean to the left, away from your extended leg, and then come back up. Let's take a few rounds of that. Lean to the left, and come back up. Keep pressing the hips forward, feeling the glutes engage. Let's lean to the left and pause, breathing here, pressing the hips forward. If you'd like, hover the left fingertips off the earth, right fingertips to the ceiling. Breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Coming back up. Rebend the right knee, turn to the front of the mat. Bring the hands down to curl the back toes, extending the back leg. You can have fingertips on earth or hover. Pull with your right leg to step the left foot forward. Allow the knees to bend as you roll to standing, stacking vertebra. Pausing here. Tuck the chin, we're going to roll back down. One vertebra at a time. Moving slowly. Gazing forward, find length. Let the knees bend, step your right foot back, lower the knee to the earth. So this is our second side. Feel free to cushion underneath your right knee. Feel free to use blocks underneath the hands. We start with a little bit of movement. Find your full range of motion. And then when you feel comfortable, leave the blocks where they are. See if you can move without blocks. Feel free to bring the hands to the earth as needed. And then you're going to, if you'd like, add a little bit of variety. And then pause. Stack your hips over your back knee. Strong through the legs. Take a few rounds of pelvic tilts. Tucking and untucking the tailbone. And then pausing. From here, find that midway point. See if you can swing your pelvis from side to side. Keeping the legs relatively still. Good. And then pause. So you're going to find the midway point between the pelvic tilt and the pelvic swing, reaching the fingertips to the ceiling. Allow the left knee to glide forward. Push through the left foot to shift back. Let's do that again. Glide forward and back. Last time, gliding forward, reach the fingertips to the ceiling, maybe tip back a little bit. Find a little bit of a back bend. Pressing through the left foot, shifting back, releasing the arms. Step the left leg back, bring the hands down into your table pose. When you arrive, you can take a little bit of movement. We're going to do the same sequence. Again, we're going to make it a little bit harder, so your choice. From a still table pose, perhaps you consider curling the toes and hovering the knees. From here, can you find that movement in the shoulders? Protraction, pushing the earth away. Retraction, dropping the heart between the line of the arms. The knees can come back down at any point in time. Pause at the midway point. Maybe the knees hover. Can you find your pelvic tilts. Resting when you need. One more here. Pause. Can you swing your pelvis? When you're ready, bring the knees down, untuck the toes, sit back on the heels, pull yourself forward to rest on the belly. Bring the heels of the hands to the base of the ribs, pressing the front body down into the earth. Start by hovering the hands, squeezing the shoulder blades together. As you're ready, reach the arms above the head, the palms of the hands turn towards each other. Press the front body down. Can you pulse your arms up and down? Keep the elbows straight, pulsing the thumbs to the ceiling. Pause. Pull your hands back through the starting point. Reach them behind you. Palms of the hands flip to the ceiling. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Push your hands up. Pulse the thumbs towards each other. Elbows straight. Pause, bend the elbows to wrists, pull the hands through, reach them above the head. Palms of the hands towards each other, pulse the thumbs up. Pause, pull the hands down and through, palms of the hands to the ceiling, squeeze the shoulder blades, push the hands up, pulse the thumbs in. Pause here, start to reach the fingertips towards the heels as you push the hands up. Pressing the tops of the feet, the hips down, come into a little back bend, Shalabhasana. Feeling the back body engage, holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower all the way to the earth. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Press the front body down, hover the palms of the hands. Peel the head and chest off the earth. Bring the hands down, take a few rounds of back bend. Lifting and lowering. Reset the hands if you choose. Perhaps considering an upward facing dog here. As you're ready, in your manner, making your way up and back to downward facing dog. Taking some movement when you arrive, pedaling out the feet, shifting the hips from side to side. As you're ready, coming forward, lowering to the knees. We're going to do these lean backs again, so pressing the feet down, push the hips forward so it's a little bit of an anterior tilt. Cross the arms in front of the chest. You're going to tuck the chin and look down and lean back. Good, let's do 4 more here. 3 more. 2 more. Last one. Lean back, coming up, releasing the arms, step the left foot forward, rotate your body. So the left foot is at the front of the mat, but the hips turn when you're here. Take some movement. Again, use whatever props you need to make this movement accessible. And then we'll pause. Stack the hips over the back knee. Take a few rounds of pelvic tilts. Feeling the legs, the effort in the legs, the effort in the belly. And then swing the pelvis from side to side. This may feel a little bit awkward, that's okay. And then pause. You're going to extend your left leg out long. You can have toes to the ceiling, or an internal rotation of the leg bone brings the sole of the foot to the earth. Press the hips forward, reach through the arms. The arms reach like a T. You're going to then lean to the right and back up. Take that a few times. Lean to the right, and up. Lean to the right and back up. This time, lean to the right and pause. Press the hips forward. You can lower the right fingertips to hover. Left fingertips to the ceiling. Breathing here. Good. And then come back up. Releasing the arms. Rebend the front knee. Turn to face the front of the mat. The hands come down to curl the back toes, extending the back leg. You can keep the fingertips on the earth or hover. Start to pull with your left foot to step the right foot forward. Folding over the legs. Let the knees bend as you roll to standing, stacking vertebra. Shoulders, neck, and head are last to arrive. Find your breath. From the front of your mat, you're going to step your left foot back about a foot, maybe a foot and a half. Imagine that you are riding an escalator. So you're going to bend your knees, but you're going to glide forward. Push through the right foot to glide back. Take that a few times. So we're really looking to find deep flexion in the front knee and front ankle. The next time you glide forward, pause. Perhaps bring your hands to your front knee to add a little bit of load. Circle that right knee. See if you can keep the rest of the body relatively still. Reverse the direction. And then pause, pressing through the right foot, coming back to standing. Step your left foot back a little bit further. Now imagine you're in an elevator. You're going to bend both knees simultaneously to drop straight down and up. Let's take a few rounds like that. Good. The next time you bend the left knee, pause. Find a strong tuck of the tailbone, a strong anterior tilt, reaching the arms to the ceiling. The hips are stacked over the back knee. We're going to breathe here. Pressing through both feet to stand and turn to the left so that you're in a wide-legged stance. You're going to fold over the legs, Prasarita Padottanasana. When you arrive, take a little bit of movement. Feel free to bring blocks underneath your hands here, if that helps support the pose. And then in a still forward fold, find length through the spine. Maybe the hands come to blocks, so you can lift through the belly, reaching through the crown of the head. Maybe there's a slight bend in the knees. Do you really feel supported by the legs? Can you find your pelvic tilts here? And then pause, strong through the legs. Can you find the swinging of the pelvis? Right to left. And then pause, gazing forward, and then folding over the legs, coming into your version of a forward fold. You can take movement, or you can come to a static shape. Gaze forward, find length. Turn on the feet to face the front of your mat. Bring the left foot a little bit closer so you can bend both knees. Come back into that shape where the hips are stacked over the back knee, the knees are bent. Find a strong anterior tilt, tucking the tailbone. Posterior tilt, tucking the tailbone. Perhaps you add the arms. If it's available to you, start to sneak your left foot back, coming into a shape that's like a more traditional lunge. Breathing here. And then we'll lower the left knee, releasing the arms, step the right leg back. Find your downward facing dog. If you'd like, feel free to take a vinyasa here, coming forward towards plank pose. Maybe the knees come to the earth, lowering to chaturanga or all the way down. Finding your back bend, cobra or upward facing dog. And then returning to downward facing dog. When you arrive in downward dog, take a few breaths. As you're ready, gazing forward, step the right foot to the right wrist. Swivel the left heel to the earth, coming into a warrior two stance with the right knee tilts here. And then pause. Find your pelvic swing side to side. And then if it feels appropriate, come into a static version of this pose, a still version. If you'd like to continue to move, if you'd like to bend and extend the leg, that's fine. Or maybe just breathe in your warrior two. Feel free to gaze over the right fingertips. And then consider a triangle pose, extending through the right leg, reaching through the right fingertips. Again, from here, you may want to explore some movement in the pelvis. Can you do your pelvic tilts here? Can you swing your pelvis? Maybe a little bit awkward. You can continue to explore movement, or you can find a more static version of Trikonasana. Find your breath. As you're ready, come to standing, rebend through the right knee, windmill the arms around, the fingertips or hands can come to the earth where they hover, pull with your right leg to step the left foot forward. Folding over the legs. In your manner, come to standing, maybe rolling up or sweeping the arms out and up. And release. We'll take that on the second side. So the left foot is forward. Step the right foot back, about a foot, maybe a foot and a half. Imagine you're on an escalator. I'm going to turn this way. So you're bending both knees, but you're moving forward and then come back up. So you're finding deep bend, deep flexion in your front ankle and your front knee. Take one more here, gliding forward and pause. Maybe you bring your hands to your front thigh, adding a little bit of load. Circle your knee. First in one direction, and then reverse the direction. And then pause, extending both legs. Step your right foot a little bit further back. Now imagine that you're in an elevator. You're going straight down. Both knees bend the same amount, straight up. Up and down. Maybe the knee taps, maybe it doesn't. Two more here. And then bend both knees, pause. Find your pelvic tilts here, tucking and untucking the tailbone. You're going to pause in a strong posterior tilt. Add the arms, reaching the fingertips to the ceiling, breathing here. Pressing through the feet, we stand, turn to the right, fold over the legs, returning to Prasarita Padottanasana. Again, start with a little bit of movement. Feel free to grab blocks. When you're ready, set yourself up in a strong forward fold. Torso is lifted. Feel the belly engaged. Lift the tip of the nose away from the earth. Find your pelvic tilts. Pause. Find the swinging of the pelvis. And pause. Moving back into your forward fold. You can take some movement here. As you're ready, you're going to turn to the front of the mat. Step your right foot a little bit closer so you can come back to upright. Bend both knees. Find that strong posterior tilt. Feel the legs engage. Add the arms. And if it's available to you, keeping the pelvis relatively still, see if you can sneak your right leg back a little bit. Breathing here. Slowly lower the right knee to the earth. Releasing the arms, step the left foot back. The hands come down, find downward facing dog. You can breathe in downward dog. You're also welcome to take a vinyasa. Coming forward to plank pose, lowering to chaturanga, or all the way to the earth. Find your back bend, cobra or upward facing dog, or some variation. And then returning to downward facing dog. Take a few breaths in your downward dog. As you're ready, step your left foot forward. Swivel your right heel to the earth, coming into a shape that feels like a warrior two. The left knee bends, right leg is extended. Find your pelvic tilts. And then pause. Find your swings, side to side. When you're ready, you're welcome to move towards a more static version of warrior two. If you prefer to keep moving, feel free. Bending and extending through the legs, moving whatever manner feels appropriate. And then considering triangle pose. Extending the left leg, tipping forward, perhaps coming into a shape where you can explore pelvic movement here. Your pelvic tilts, your pelvic swings. Perhaps you find the static triangle pose. Coming back to upright, rebend the front knee, windmill the arms around, you can bring the hands to earth or hover the fingers, pull yourself forward with your left foot, fold over the legs. In your manner, come all the way to standing, rolling up, or sweeping the arms out and up. Taking a breath, stepping to the front of the mat, sweeping the arms out and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Let the knees bend as you fold over the legs. Gazing forward, find length. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step the feet back into a plank pose and pause. Pressing down at the feet, strong through the legs. The knees can come down at any point in time, lifting the tip of the nose away from the earth. Can you find your pelvic tilts here? And then pause, pressing through the hands. Can you find your pelvic swings here? Notice how much your legs have to work, your glutes, your belly. And then pause, returning to the breath, lowering to the knees if necessary. Take your version of vinyasa, or resting in downward dog or child's pose. We will meet up in downward facing dog when you're ready. And then coming forward, lowering all the way. We'll all meet up together in downward facing dog. Taking as many breaths as you'd like here, you can take some movement or you can remain in stillness. As you're ready, shifting forward, back, forward again towards plank pose. You can lower the knees. We're going to come all the way down to the earth. Find your crocodile pose. Resting on the belly, stack your hands, resting your forehead on the back of the hands. Just take a few breaths here on the belly. Returning to a slow, steady inhale and exhale through the nose. And then as you're ready, we're going to add a little bit of movement here. Pressing the tops of the feet down into the earth, see if you can find your pelvic tilts. So you may experience that this is quite challenging due to the resistance of the earth, but do the best you can. Can you find the tucking and untucking of the tailbone? And then letting that go. Can you find, from your belly, can you find your pelvic swings? So you're going to be working against the resistance of the mat, the sticky mat, but can you swing your hips from side to side, your pelvis from side to side, as if it's like a pendulum at the bottom of the spine? And then let that go. Let the knees bend. And just start to swing your feet from side to side. Windshield wiper your legs from side to side. As you're ready, you're going to use that action to roll yourself onto your back. When you arrive on the back, bend the knees. Bring the soles of the feet to the earth. When you first arrive, you can take any movement you need, but as you're ready, we're going to return to our pelvic tilts. Tucking and untucking the tailbone. And then use your pelvic tilts to move the body into a bridge and lower back down. So again, find your spinal articulation. Hopefully it's a little bit easier now at the end of the practice. Noticing how strongly your legs have to work, how strongly your belly has to work. Each time you come down, reset the placement of the feet. So every bridge pose is just a little bit different. You can step the feet wide, you can step the feet narrow, you can step the feet a little further away from the body, or maybe pull them in close. The next time you lift, bring the feet into a place that feels very comfortable. Pressing down to the feet, the pelvis is lifted. Start to pull your heels towards your head. And then return to your pelvic tilts. Can you do pelvic tilts here with your pelvis elevated? You may find it's a little easier after all the work that we've done. You may also find that it's harder if you're fatigued. Pausing, can you find your pelvic swings? Notice how strongly your legs have to work, how strongly your glutes work. Try and keep the pelvis level the whole time. As you're ready, slowly return back to the earth. Take a few breaths. If you choose, consider one last back bend. You can come into a deeper back bend, moving towards a full bridge or wheel pose, Urdhva. You're also welcome to bring a block underneath the pelvis, coming into a supported version of bridge. Breathing here, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. You can remain here for as long as you'd like. You can explore other back bends. When you're ready, returning to the earth. Step the feet wide, knees to ceiling, soles of feet on the earth. Let the knees begin to rock from side to side. The next time your knees drop to the left, you're going to pause. Breathing here. Perhaps you cross your left ankle over the outside of the right knee. So the left ankle is weighting the right leg down towards earth. Breathing here. If you'd like, you can reach the arms above the head behind you, taking hold of the right wrist with left fingers. Adding a little bit of a pull to find that length down right side body. Releasing hold of the wrist, uncross the left ankle, let the knees rock from side to side. Next time the knees drop to the right, pause, crossing the right ankle over the left knee. If you'd like, you can reach the arms behind you above the head, taking hold of the left wrist with the right hand. Releasing the hand, uncross the ankle. Take some movement here as you choose. And then pause. We extend the right heel to the ceiling, clasping behind the back of the head, the back of the leg. Reaching through the heel. You can keep your left foot on the earth, or you can extend the left leg out long. Bend both knees, crossing the right ankle over the left knee. You can stay right here. If you'd like, you can hover the left foot off the earth. If it's available to you and if you're interested, you're welcome to thread the right hand in between the legs, clasping behind the left leg. But maybe you just experience this without using the hands. Can you use the strength of the left leg to draw the right leg a little bit closer? So it becomes a bit more of activation through your left hip flexor. And then we'll lower the left foot, uncrossing the right ankle. Second side, extend your left heel to the ceiling, clasping the hands behind the back of the left leg. You can keep your right foot on the earth, or extend your right leg out long. Bending both knees, crossing the left ankle over the right knee. You can keep your right sole foot on the earth the entire time. You can lift the right foot, maybe it hovers. Maybe you thread the left hand in between legs to clasp behind the right leg, or just leave the arms out of it. So you have to find a little bit of activation, a little strength through the right hip flexor to find the stretch in the outer left hip. Returning the right foot to the earth, uncrossing the left ankle. If there are any final poses you'd like to take here, please feel free. But if you're ready, begin to make your way towards rest, towards Shavasana. Perhaps you explore one of the other videos moving you through a guided relaxation, or you just take your own time, returning to your breath, closing out your practice however you feel fit.